Yo, yo, it's your boy AO, Lakers for Life Live. If you're coming from X, let's get some viewers in here. Make sure to follow. If you if you're coming from YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like. We're trying to push out content and keep a pulse on these Lakers. But man, that was, I think, beyond ugly to watch. Just you knew this was a trap game, but you knew this was going to be a long night right from the first minute of the game. It was that bad. This team came out so disengaged. It wasn't even funny. This game got out of hand very, very quickly. We were down 10 by the end of the first quarter. But if you're new here, Lakers for Life, we're doing as many of these post games as possible. Drop your comments. I know there's a little bit of frustration and a little bit of, man, it's one game. We got to let it go and move on to Charlotte on Monday. So we'll unpack all of it, but drop your comments. Let's get into it. So Atlanta, let's set this up. Atlanta was missing nearly half of their roster today. Trae Young, Kristaps Porzingis, Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard. That's like a starting lineup right there. And of course, we're depleted. No Reeves, no LeBron. Maxi Kleber was activated today. He got some minutes. And I'm holding my breath with Maxi Kleber because that man seems to get injured when the wind touches him, right? So before we even get to what Maxi Kleber can even bring to the Lakers, let's see if he even gets minutes. He got some garbage minutes today. Let's see if he can stay on the floor, right? But Atlanta completely depleted. So, we're headed into this roadie like, hey, let's get a win. Let's kick this off. Let's get a W. My standpoint was this is going to be a great game where we can just get the job done in the first half. The team does its thing. And, Luka maybe plays 25 minutes and he could sit out the fourth, pretty much like load managing within the game. We get the W and it's on to Charlotte, right? We're setting ourselves up nice for the OKC game. This couldn't have been any more opposite. Luka did get fourth quarter rest. That was for sure. But we conceded this game in the third quarter down 20 plus points. And look, with all the players that Atlanta was missing, right? It sets up. It was all on the timeline. This is setting up for a classic trap game. Classic trap game. And I get it. You get a team that doesn't have their star players. You're getting players playing that don't necessarily get the minutes. They're playing loose. They have nothing to lose. They're going to go out and try to showcase themselves. And ironically, that's kind of what we've done at the beginning of this year too, right? There's been games where we've been down or we haven't had our players are playing loose. They go off and we pull out a game, right? Think Nick Smith Jr. That was a crazy game that he pulled off, right? We haven't seen that since. It's actually been really bad since. But teams do this. But with Luka, there was confidence. We're riding a 5-game winning streak. And I thought, I think this team is turning a corner. We're showing resilience. We're showing grit, right? Marcus Smart is playing. Rui Hachimura has been scoring the ball. And, we could pull out this game. And that did not happen at all. And we can say, let's throw it away and move on to Charlotte. And that's what we're really going to do. But is there some concern? Let's go over, we'll quickly go over the box score in one half. Luka, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 11 assists, 7 for 17 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3. He had 5 turnovers in a half. And it's tough because when you see stat lines like this from Luka, you get energized, but you got to look deeper than the box score. I don't think he played well. I think his shooting's been whatever. That'll come around, but I haven't seen Chris level of basketball from him. I mean, pulling up 10 threes and a half is in 26 minutes is kind of nuts. He had that logo three, all cool things to watch, but it's not necessarily the basketball that I want to see at all times. I mean, Rui had 8 points, 3 for 9 from the field. He's been shooting above 50% for the full season. So today was some normalization, right? He had a bad game. Jake LaRavia, I thought, was okay. He was getting beat on back cuts a number of times in the game. 13, 5, 2, 2 steals, cool. But, DeAndre 8 and 5 for 5 from the field, 11 for 5. I thought, once he saw the team that wasn't engaged, we weren't getting closeouts to the ball. We saw that throughout the game. Not the best indication. Marcus Smart, 5 points, 2 steals. And then, we get into the bench unit. 14 points, 4 rebounds for Dalton Knecht, 5 for 11 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3. Maybe that gets him a little bit of confidence in these garbage minutes, right? See the ball go down. I thought this was an interesting stat line. Vando had 12 points on 4 of 9 shooting, made another 3 today. And granted, this is all in garbage minutes. 18 rebounds, a steal and a block. I don't know how much weight we want to put on this thing, but, I thought that was a hell of a stat line for Vando. But if you go to Atlanta, they have 7 players in double figures. And it really started with Mohamed Gay. 21 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 8 for 12 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3. And I don't want to hear, oh, Mohamed, he's dope. He's an awesome player. He's underrated. Sure, he could be all of those things. But the way he controlled the game, come on now, man. I get it. He's been a good defender. He's been doing his thing for Atlanta. Definitely an up-and-coming player that bolsters their team. There is no way he should be dominating the game like he was today. I mean, this man and just Atlanta in general was getting anything they wanted, both in the paint, because we had no resistance there, and they were hot from 3. They finished the night, if we look at it, 52%, 41% from 3. And that's garbage minutes again. They controlled this game from start to finish. And I thought that was a bit concerning, seeing how, defense has been kind of our calling card for the first 9 games of the season. And granted, we're still 7-3. But we just lost all semblance of what we've been building, whether we should have won some of those games or not. That identity that we've talked about, in the hitters, in the lives that we are forming, these types of games kind of set you back a couple steps. It kind of negates those wins that you have. I never want to get into a situation where it's like, oh, we shouldn't have won a couple of those games. And, like we said at the top of the show, this was that get back, for the games we shouldn't have won, right? I mean, 7 players in double figures is crazy. Newell, 17 off the bench. Krejci, 17 points. He was doing some wild stuff on the court. Zachary Richeche, 19 points. The biggest thing was we're not playing defense and there's no energy, and we're turning the ball over like there's no tomorrow. Atlanta beat us on points off turnovers 36-15, and that says it all for me. 36-15 to a depleted Atlanta team for points off turnovers. You got to be kidding me. We rebounded the ball, 47 rebounds on the night. That's actually a high rebounding game. We shot 40% from 3, shot 46% from the field. But you take all of those things, no energy, no defense, turning the ball over, sloppy execution, just not giving a bleep, right? And this is what happens. This is what happens. Now, let's get into some takeaways because, look, in the grand scheme of things, yes, this is one game of an 82-game season, right? And as much as we wanted to start the roadie hot, we have been hot. But games like this do happen, but I would say they happen, but not in this type of fashion. If it's a trap game, sure, it's a trap game. That happens to the best of teams. But there's levels to it. There's trap game, competing. This team is hot, surprising you, staying in the game. They go on a run. You lose. Okay. I could maybe live with that, right? This was a complete massacre, going down by 20 plus in the third quarter. You're conceding the game in the third quarter, which is wild to me because you still have Rui, you still have Ayton, you still have Luka, you still have Smart out there. Like, there's players. And these are the games that are in the schedule for you to handle your business, do your job, get the W, because it pays dividends later in the season when our schedule is going to get very rough in that March, April timeframe, right? Good teams win games. They drop, some of these trap games. They might drop some games to some bad teams, but they can level up in bigger, high-stakes games and get a W, right? Great teams, though, handle business. And what's our barometer? OKC, right? And they have that one loss against Portland. They were up 22 in that game. So they were handling business. They let it slip. Portland is not in Atlanta, a depleted Atlanta Hawks. They are a good team. We've seen how defensive they can be, how they kind of get into you and apply that pressure. So, that's the OKC loss that they got without J-Dub, right? J-Dub's not even playing. That's great. That's what great looks like. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, what barometer, what threshold are we judging this Lakers team against, right? I would think, and how I'm doing it, and when we're going to be on the show, it's always championship or bust. And I want to level up to or compare myself to the best team in the league, in our conference, whatever it may be, but the best of the best. And this game definitely exposed that. I mean, there's a statistic called SRS, Simple Rating System, right? And it's a combination of net rating, offensive and defensive side, adjusted for your strength of schedule. And this game is going to completely obliterate that metric. And I think it's important. We were hot last year going into, the end of the season, third seed, right? And our SRS, our net rating, was so low. If you looked at it, we were really, and if you based it on a rank scale across the West, we were really down at the bottom, 6, 7, 8, right? And that says a lot. It says, are you beating teams? If your rating is high, it means you're beating teams at the rate you're supposed to be beating at, and you're beating good teams as well too, right? When it's low, it means you might be scraping some good teams, but you're not handling business, against the bad teams where you're supposed to. Then there's, you're only beating bad teams and you are not beating the great teams, right? So our SRS, all that to be said, our SRS was around 5th in the West right now, which isn't as bad compared to last year, but this is going to take it down to 6, 7, 8. And what I want to see from this year's team, granted, this is one game, but what I want to see from this year's team is the ability to take care of business. Meaning, if there is an opponent that is clearly not at your level, you handle the game, you win comfortably, you don't make it a game, and you move on to the next, right? And it won't happen with every single one, but how many times did we see last year where we've blown leads or we're coming from behind against teams that just had no business being in the game? And sure, you could pull some off, but this is, again, what separates good teams from great teams, right? We had a lot of momentum in the first 9 games, and that momentum is important. And you want to continue capitalizing on the momentum as much as possible. And sure, this game may come. So my biggest thing that I'm looking at is, what's the response? right? JJ's probably cussing him out in the locker room. And if your stakes are that high where you want to achieve certain things and get to certain points, you have to have that mentality, Lakers Nation, of not just, oh, it was just one game, we're throwing it away, but we did not take care of business. So the response is that much more important. And we need to get calibrated again quickly and continue to proceed, right? We got OKC coming up. That's my barometer test. And we're going to see is what we've done for the first 10 games of the season, something legitimate, something we can build on, or is it something fugazi, right? And it's all about the compete. Having nights where you don't compete, it pisses me off, right? And I get it. It's not every game. I keep saying that. It won't happen every game. But again, I don't want to get into a blitz at the end of the season. Great teams handle their business. Phil Jackson has this 40 wins before 20 losses. And if you can do that, you are a championship contender. I want to be in that bracket, right? Handling business. 40 of 60 games is a great win percentage. And you have to take care of these smaller games so that you can get ahead. And you can have some cushion for injury later on in the season if that happens, right? And you're not just completely going at maximum capacity and having to expand that bandwidth all throughout the season, right? There's load managing up front, but I also don't agree with that either. There's load managing within games where this is a perfect game to handle your business in a half, put it away in the third quarter. Now all your main players are resting. The other team is conceded and has thrown the white flag. And you're on your way, right? But this lackadaisical effort that we would see last year, I want that gone. The sloppy execution. We had enough players today to pull out a victory. And okay, you lose, but losing in this fashion, in this manner, makes you think, was what we were doing before tangible, right? And I don't want to get into this game. I don't want to get into that kind of narrative, right? But again, I will say it's the response that counts. Do we come out against Charlotte, rip their hearts out, punch them in the face, knock out right away, and they're done? Or do we lollygag around, not have the best defense, let LaMelo get hot, let a couple of their players get hot, and now it's a game? And we're grinding it out in the third quarter, grinding out in the fourth quarter. Because I'll tell you what, if that happens on Monday, that game against OKC is not going to be pretty. And then we're going to get into the excuses of, well, we're injured. We don't have Reeves. We don't have LeBron, right? We'll see if Reeves comes back soon. If not the Charlotte game, I'm hoping it's that OKC game because we do need that variation. We can only ride this out so long when you don't have a complete team. And, you're relying so much on Luka. We don't want bad habits to form, right? So getting our team back intact is important. I hope we do get that against OKC, and that's a hell of a game to throw Austin into because OKC, even despite J-Dub, they are deep. They have defenders that get after it, right? Caruso, Cason Wallace. They got that AJ Mitchell now. Isaiah Joe's back. Lou Dort, right? And not to mention their stars, SGA, Chet, Hartenstein. Like that's the barometer for excellence, right? And I think we are ways away. I can't lie. I've been excited with the run that we've been on. I think it's been some impressive play, and I'm not completely stepping away from that at all. And again, that's why the response is important. But you do see gaps, and these types of games really can expose where you're really at and what level you have to perform at capacity. We have to perform at capacity for us to pull out wins right now, right? And that's not a sustainable and scalable way to get through the season. And granted, it'll hopefully normalize a bit when you get Reeves and LeBron back into the rotation, right? but we have to play at max capacity to pull out these dubs. We can't afford F level games from players and hope to pull out a win, right? And today it was just bad all around, right? Not even Luka's heroics could pull us out of this one. So, as bad as it was, we'll take it as one game. We haven't seen anything in 10 games. We haven't seen anything this atrociously bad. And again, we will see how we come out against Charlotte. And hopefully it's a game where we get back on track and we go, okay, this team's back. And then we could have that true barometer test against OKC. LeBron, it's looking like he's coming back or targeting the 23rd of November. So that's right around the corner. That's 15 days away, 2 weeks. So this roadie is important. Really my floor was 4-1. And we've already made that very hard to do. Now you have to be OKC. You have to win out. And to go 3-2 on this road trip, I think would be a bit disappointing, but not the end of the world, as we get our players back. But, you get a game against OKC, we're back on track. Now it's like, okay, you just beat the best of the best. That's the favorite. That's the defending champs. That's something to stand on. It makes up for this type of loss. And then it's the build after that. So, Laker Nation, I could be pissed right now. And if we were watching the game together, you'd see a lot of frustration. But you got to temper those emotions, not get down a completely negative path unless it's warranted, right? We see this across the road trip. I have no doubt. I mean, JJ's presser looked like it was very short, and I didn't catch it, but I'm sure the quotes are going to come out. He didn't look very happy, though. He's on a mission. The team should be on a mission. And hopefully this is just a game we chalk up to just lack of focus. And we got, we got a hungry Atlanta team that just took advantage of that lack of execution early on, right? And it was a game after that. So we'll see if that's the case. But we do need that variation from Reeves back. We talked about it on the live hitter. Luka does what Luka does, but we don't have that secondary, and not having that secondary to at least mix up the actions on offense limits us, right? You have to have those burners from Luka or someone else really doing their thing. That Luka and Ayton P&R isn't going to work for a full game, right? You need defenses shifting. You need that secondary playmaker to, help shift that defense. So Austin Reeves needs you back as soon as possible, but understand that, he was upgraded to a groin strain, and if it's not soreness, that is concerning, and you want to make sure you are evaluating it effectively and thinking about the long haul too. He is a twitchy player. He does change direction, and you don't want to re-aggravate that groin pull again. But Laker Nation, not the game we wanted on a Saturday night, but we'll pick it back up, and let's see how we come out Monday. I want to see what the response looks like. But again, we're going to continue doing lives. If you're coming from X, drop a follow. Hit me on the YouTube. Drop a sub. Hit it with a like. We're a new community trying to get things going. I'm a Laker fan just as much as you guys are. And, I just love talking Lakers basketball. The discourse, this show's not going to be as long, but keep tapping in with me. If you got thoughts, shoot me a message, shoot me an ad on X, and let's keep growing this thing. Let's build a community. We'll have some things coming up. I'm going to try to bring some guests on, but again, this is for fans, by fans. And we're going to continue to talk Lakers basketball and hopefully have better days than what we saw today. This is ugly. Let's just forget about it. Throw it away. Burn it. from our memories, and let's go get a W against Charlotte. Like it or hate it, drop a comment and debate it. Peace, y'all.